Hi, I'm Dave, founder of Halloween Year Round. And firstly, Happy New Year! We have made it to 2021. There's going to be a lot of big changes on this channel. The first and foremost, I'd like to be a little more consistent than I've been. I admit that's on me, but I'm making this promise now at the beginning of 2021. We will be uploading a video every week on the weekend. That may be Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It'll change week to week depending on timing, if it's a new movie release, whatever. Point is, we will have something new once a week. And that is one of my biggest New Year's resolutions. So, as we embrace this new year and try to forget about all that was the year that shall not be named, I wanted to start from a point of optimism and talk about the top 10 movies I am personally most excited about in 2021. Now, granted, most of these movies were supposed to come out last year. We all remember what happened. But, hey, we're still getting them this year, so that's something. So, again, this is just my personal list. It's not right or wrong. I would love to hear what, all of your most anticipated movies are. Leave them in the comments below. We can talk about that. But let's get started. Number 10, The Forever Purge. I'm a huge fan of this series. What can I say? Like my main man, the Joker, I love a little bit of anarchy and chaos. And this was a series that, for a while, at least for the first, second, and third, it seemed to get better with each installment. Now, I wasn't the biggest fan of the fourth movie called The First Purge. I can't say The First Purge because you'll think it's the first movie. It's confusing, I know. But I didn't really think we needed to see how it started. I feel like that was a bit redundant, and I'm really more interested to see what happens following election year and, Elizabeth Mitchell's character now becoming president, trying to outlaw the purge, and whether that's going to lead to all-out civil war. Frighteningly relevant for these current times we live in. So I'm hoping that's where this one goes, that it's a true sequel. And I really hope we get my man Frank Grillo back, because he was the best part of Anarchy and Election Year. Number 9. Don't Breathe 2. Or should they call it Don't Breathe Again? That would have been too cheesy. Anyways, seeing this movie, the first one, in the theaters was an experience unlike any other. I consider myself, to be a massive horror fan, obviously. And it kept me on the edge of my seat. I'm very desensitized to this stuff. But just, it is so tense. And I'm all for capturing that feeling again, especially given how, the first one ended. The roles could be a little reversed now, with Stephen Lang's character kind of the one on the hunt, so to speak. I'm a big fan of his. I know that he has he plays the stereotypical tough military guy in like every movie. But he was just a really effective villain in that, and I'm curious to see where it goes, and I would love to get that feeling again in a movie theater, assuming the theaters are open again when this comes out. I really hope they are. Number 8, Antlers. Now, this is one that I had seen a trailer for, and I think it's played the festival circuit, but it has really unique imagery, and it was one that I was really looking forward to for 2020, and, it's one that, my interest has just carried over. I don't know that much about it, but you'll find most of the movies on this list are going to be sequels and reboots that I kind of know what I'm expecting. I like with Antlers that I don't really know what to expect, and that intrigues me. Number 7, The Green Knight. Much like Antlers, which I just talked about, I don't know that much about this one. I know that it has a cool teaser trailer. I know that it's sort of blending fantasy horror with, medieval mythology, and it sort of blends my two biggest interests. You may not know, I actually went to school to be a history teacher, which, me as a teacher, weird, I know. But, my major was history, and my emphasis was ancient and medieval. So I eat up that historical stuff. And when you blend it with horror, well, now you're talking my two favorite things in the world. I wish there was more historical horror set during the ancient and medieval period. So I am familiar with the story of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. I read it in, I think, 12th grade British literature. It's a cool story, and I want to see how it plays out in, the fantasy horror subgenre. So another one on this list that I don't know that much about it, but I like that I don't know that much about it. So it's all just potential and anticipation. Number 6, Morbius. Now for this one, I hesitate whether to consider this a true horror movie. I know it's connected to the MCU and the Sony Spider-Verse. I'm still going to cover it on this channel, and I'm excited for a few reasons. Number one, yes, bring horror into comic book movies. It is such a prevalent subgenre between Blade, Morbius, Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. I think there's a lot of room, with superheroes and comic books to lean on horror, and I would love to see that done more. I would love to cover more Marvel and DC movies on this channel that fit that horror theme, and Morbius seems like it's going to be one of the first ones of recent times that I can do that with. So I'm really excited for the connection to Spider-Man Homecoming, as we saw in the trailer with Michael Keaton. And I'm just going to say it, Jared Leto is a great actor when he's used right. Look at him in American Psycho, in Lord of War, huge underrated performance. He is better than his Joker, and I think he deserves another chance. And, much like in the case with Ryan Reynolds, who went from Green Lantern to Deadpool, maybe this is Jared Leto's turn to go from a DC failure to a Marvel success. So here's to hoping for that. Plus, I'm a big vampire guy, so you say vampires, I'm in. They're my favorite of the kind of old school movie monsters. Number 5, A Quiet Place 2. This one, I actually had tickets to this. This was supposed to come out right when everything shut down. I think it was due out like a week or two later. I had tickets at Regal, and I get to see it this year. A Quiet Place certainly took the world by storm. I know non-horror people who loved it, and anytime, you can have that sort of outreach with the genre to people that aren't normally fans, I think that's a good thing. So I'm curious to see where they take the story now that they know what, the creature's weakness is. I like, at least from the trailer, we're getting to see a little bit of how this event, this, apocalyptic event started. In any, post-apocalyptic media, my favorite thing to see is always the breakdown of society and civilization. I know, like I said when I was talking about The Purge, I like anarchy and chaos in movies, not in real life. Don't misquote me. But, I think there's a lot more you could do with this world. I like the additions of Cillian Murphy and Jimon Honsu to the cast. I think they'll play really well against Emily Blunt. Yeah, we're going to be missing a lot with John Krasinski no longer on camera, but, still behind the camera directing. I gotta say, I never would have thought when watching The Office that Jim would direct like one of the best horror movies of the decade, but here we are. Number 4, Candyman. All right, I'm gonna do it. Candyman, 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 Candyman? Oh, there's not a mirror in here. I guess it's... Come on, it's Candyman! Now, I will say, and this is something I'll talk about with another pick later, not a big fan of the title, for the same reason I wasn't a fan of Halloween 2018 just being called Halloween. Can we stop doing sequels years later and just using the title of the original? Can we call it something different to differentiate? I can talk. That said, I love that Tony Todd is back, and I'm glad that the trailers and marketing material is intentionally not showing him, because we all know that moment that we see him in that costume, in that role again, it's going to be amazing. You know, I'm a huge Jordan Peele fan. I'm glad that he's producing. I think that he's certainly shown that he can take social commentary and blend it with a good horror movie better than anyone I've seen in like the last 10, 15 years. Now, I know a lot of people think he's directing. He's not. He's only producing. Nia DaCosta is directing, and while I haven't seen anything else from her, I know that she's also slated to direct Captain Marvel 2, so clearly an up-and-comer. And sometimes that's the best thing for, you know, a property like this, is you bring a director in who's fresh, who's still has the eye of the tiger and something to say and something to show. Number 3, Halloween Kills. I wore this just for today. I wasn't already wearing it for, you know, personal reasons. I'm going to say something kind of controversial. I really like the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, and I like the 2018 sequel, reboot, whatever you want to call it, but I didn't like it as much as everyone else did. I feel like, again, it was almost the Force Awakens of the Halloween franchise, where they just said, oh, let's just kind of do the same movie again. I say almost because it did enough differently to kind of keep me interested and draw me in. I loved what they did with Laurie Strode, turning her into, like, badass Sarah Connor. I really want to see that continue. And, you know, I feel like they've done their reboot already with Halloween 2018. Now is David Gordon Green's chance to just take this franchise and run with it. See what they can do with it. You know, if that 30-second teaser was any indication, I think we have a lot to look forward to. Number 2, Spiral from the Book of Saw. You're probably going to say I'm crazy for putting Halloween at 3 and then this at 2 and the other thing at 1, but hear me out. Saw is probably my favorite modern horror franchise. Modern meaning like post-2000. I grew up watching those. It was the one franchise that, you know, I was in high school when they started, and every year that a new one would come out, I'd be back at the theater seeing one. So for like 7 years in a row, I had a Saw movie to look forward to every Halloween. Now, I was not at all a fan of 2017's Jigsaw. I thought that was unnecessary, sullied the other movies, and really messed with the continuity in a way that even Saw the Final Chapter wasn't capable of doing. That being said, what sold me on this was the return of Darren Lynn Bousman, who directed Saws 2, 3, and 4, which are my personal favorite. That sort of 3-movie arc, I think, was brilliant, and I think that the series really did lose something when Bousman, you know, moved on to other projects. So the fact that he's back had me at Darren Lynn Bousman. The whole Chris Rock, you know, producing and starring an angle with Samuel L. Jackson, that's cool. That's new. That's bringing something new and fresh into this franchise that wasn't there before. I still don't know if this is like a true remake or if it's going to connect back to the old continuity. Either way, I'm interested. And that's sort of the point of this list. And finally, Number 1, The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. Hear me out. Hear me out. Firstly, yes, I know the title is stupid. It sounds like some weird sci-fi channel original movie, and they should have just called it The Conjuring 3. I know. Number 2, the Conjuring universe, it has its highs and lows, but it's never been higher than when we're just getting Conjuring movies. I would much rather have seen more sequels with Ed and Lorraine Warren than the Annabelle spin-off or The Nun or, The Curse of La Llorona was pretty cool, but did we need it at the expense of giving us Conjuring 3 earlier? Probably not. I'm just glad we're finally getting it. This is another one, that was due out, in 2020, and we had to wait. Now, it's actually coming out on my birthday weekend, which is kind of amazing, and, it's like a little birthday present to me. It's also one of the ones that they say is being released right to HBO Max, same day as theaters. If theaters are open and if it is safe at that time in my area, I'll go see it in the theater just for, for the experience. Because again, nothing beats that. And this is a sequel that I've been waiting for a really long time. The Conjuring really sort of was a turning point for me. When that came out, it sent me down a road of kind of really being fascinated. I was already a horror fan, but when I saw The Conjuring, it sent me down a path of being fascinated with demonology, paranormal investigating. I read all their books, including the book that this is based on, The Devil in Connecticut, which, mind you, is the most interesting case they've ever done. Without a doubt, the demon murder trial of, I think it was 1981 or 3, is the most interesting case in their entire history, and I've been waiting for them to do this story justice. So, there's that. I also have to mention, again, it reflects my bias a little bit. I've actually met Lorraine Warren twice before she passed away. I went to the Warrenology event at her house up in Connecticut. I was actually one of the last groups of people that got to do that event at her house before they stopped doing them there. And then, a few years later, she sadly did pass away. So I have this weird connection to this franchise. It inspired me to really pick up writing. And that's what kind of started me writing my first novel, which got me back into writing in general and got me starting, Halloween year-round and this YouTube channel. So all of that goes back, its genesis was the night I saw The Conjuring back in summer of 2013. So it didn't matter what else was coming out this year. This is the movie I've been wanting to see since 2016, since Conjuring 2. So there's my list. Like I said, comment below what movies are you most looking forward to? Which ones did I overlook or forget? Which one of these do you not care about and why? As always, like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff. If you don't, Michael Myers will come after you. You can check out the website at HalloweenYearRound.com. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And, as always, stay scared, and remember, every day is Halloween.